Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Let's make this beautiful top. On the thumbnail you're going to be needing a crepe fabric, a soft crepe, or a vintage fabric. You need 1.5 trouser depending on your size. If you're on a small size or medium size, you can use one trouser, but if you're on a bigger size, you can use 1.5 for this style. So I already marked out my lines, but I'm going to be explaining the lines I have here. Okay, so this is my starting line, and here is my upper bust. So from my shoulder to my upper bust is 8 inches, and then the next line is my bust point, which is 10 inches, my half length, which is 16 inches, and then the entire length of the cloth is 26 inches. But I added hemming allowance of 2 inches, okay, because I'm going to be using this later. Okay, so this is what I have. So the total length that I have here, including all the allowances, I have 28 inches. Okay, that is what I have here. That's the total length. So now, like I said, this is the starting line, the upper bust line, the bust point, the half length, and the full length of the top. Okay, I wanted to pipe the neckline with this fabric. I wanted to fold it into bias and pipe, but there's no light now. I don't want the light to delay this cloth, so I'm going to be using a bias. You can use a facing or a normal fabric to pipe the neckline. The shoulder I'm working with is 14 inches, but because this is a sleeveless top, I'm going to subtract 1 inch from that 14, so I'll be left with 13. So I'm going to divide 13 into 2. 13 divided by 2 is 6.5, so I'm going to go ahead and mark 6.5 for my shoulder, and then I'm also going to come to the upper bust line and mark 6.5 also at this point, and then I'm going to draw it into a straight line. I'm going to connect it into a straight line like this. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my neck width, which is 3 inches for the front neck. I'm going to do 5 inches for the depth, 3.5 by 5 inches for the front neckline. So I'm going to just go ahead and then connect into a round neck like this using my hand, free hand. But if you have your French curve, I have a French curve, but I just want to work with my hand today. Free hand. Okay, so once you're done, you're going to come here now and slope your shoulder. So I'm going to slope the shoulder by 0.75, and then I'm just going to connect here instead of 1. You know, in the nose we do 1 for shoulder slope, so I'm going to slope by, so the remaining, I'm going to mark measure what is remaining here, or you could slope by half. So I'm going to mark the midpoint of whatever that is left here. Okay, mark the midpoint, and then I'm coming in by half an inch. Okay, so I'm going to mark half an inch inward like this. So I'm going to connect from here to meet with this part. Okay, for now. So now I'm going to come here and impute my bust measurement. The bust I'm working with is 37 divided by 4 is 9.25. I'm going to mark 9.25 here, and then I'm going to go ahead and then connect this like this to meet with this. Like this. Okay, hope you can see. So this is my bust divided by 4. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here now is to add my ease allowance. I'm going to use 1 inch for my ease allowance and mark it, and then for the sewing allowance I'm using just half an inch, so I'll add it here. So I'll check whatever I have here. This is like almost 11 inches. So what I have here, whatever you have here, just impute it at the lower part of the top. So that is what I'm going to do basically. So I'm going to come here now and impute the same measurement I have here, because the top does not have the shape of the waist. You don't need to shape the waist. Okay, so I'm going to connect into a straight line for now. Okay, so this is what we have. So this top is going to be having a side dart. Okay, it's going to be having a side dart. So now I'm going to go ahead now and take my side dart. So my nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2 is 3.5, so I will mark it here. Okay, so I will also mark it here at the half length. Okay, so now this is my nipple to nipple. Now I'm not going to draw my side dart to stop here. Okay, so I'm going to extend this by 1 inch. That means your nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus 1, which is your bust span divided by 2 plus 1 inch. Okay, so I've already marked the half of the bust span, and then I'm going to mark the 1 inch. That is because we do not want the dart to stop at our bust point. This is my bust point, so I'm going to come here and take 1 inch for my side dart. 1 inch, okay, for my side dart. So I'm going to connect it to meet with this 4.5, not this one. Okay, so now I'll place my tape rule like this, and then I'll connect. So this is my side dart. This is where it's going to end. Okay, this is my side dart. I want it to stop here. Okay, so this is my side dart. Now that means the back panel is going to be shorter than the front panel by 1 inch. Okay, now what you're going to do is that for this part, I'm not going to cut straight because you will end up having shortness by the time you hold this your dart. You take this dart, okay, in. So I'm going to just, come in like this, like a triangle. So when I'm cutting, I will not just cut straight like that. I'll just extend it a little by like 1 inch so that if there's any shortage, I'll just trim off the excess when I'm done. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now is to go ahead and cut out the front panel. Please, if you have any question, you can drop your question in the comment section. So I'll cut my neckline. So don't forget to create a notch here and also at this point. So this is from my front panel. Okay, sorry guys, I already added my shoulder sewing allowance to it. Okay, I already added it on top. So if you have not added your own, just go ahead and then add yours. Okay, so this is for my front. Okay, moving to the cutting of the back panel. Okay, so I already drew out my lines. So this is my starting line. This is my upper bust, which is 8. This is my bust point, which is 10. This is my half length, which is 15. The half length for the front is 16, while the half length for the back is 15. Now, the entire length is 27. Remember, the entire length for the front is 28, including all the sewing allowance. But this one is 1 inch shorter than the front, okay? It's 1 inch shorter than the front. So this is 27, and that of the front is 28 because of the side dart. Hope that is clear. So now I'm going to go ahead and mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2. We have subtracted 1 inch from the shoulder, so we have 6.5 here because it's a sleeveless top. So I'm going to mark 6.5 here. So I'm going to go ahead and take the neck width 3.5 inches. Hope you can see what I'm doing. 3.5 inches. So for the back neckline, I'm going to be doing 1.5. Okay, I'll do 1.5 for the back. 3.5 by 1.5. So I'm going to create my round neck like this. Okay, so now for the shoulder, I'm slanting my shoulder by 0.75. So I'm going to connect into the neckline like so. Now we're going to divide whatever we have here into 2 and then mark the midpoint. Okay, so for the back you could decide to come at, so for the back you can come in also by half an inch, or you can just do it normal armhole like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take my bust divided by 4 here, which is 9.25, and then I'm going to connect like this. So you can also decide to come in if you want to use the same armhole for both front and the back. Okay, so I'll just connect like this. So this is my bust divided by 4. So I'm going to add my ease allowance, which is I'm going to add 1 inch for ease allowance, and my seam allowance, which is half an inch. Okay, so now whatever I have here, I'm going to take it all the way down because my hip and my bust is the same thing. If your hip is bigger than your bust, impute your hip measurement at this point, okay, here, and add ease allowance also and your sewing allowance. But because my bust and my hip are the same, so that is why I'm imputing whatever I have here, okay. But if your hip is bigger than your bust, just impute your hip measurement at this point and add all your allowances to it. Okay, hope that is clear. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and drop a comment. Thank you very much. So I'll connect like this. Okay, the back is not going to be having any dart. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the neckline first. Okay, so this is my back panel. Now this is the front panel. Okay, okay guys, so this is the bias I'm going to be using to hem the neckline and the armhole. Okay, so now I have some piece cut out here. I'm going to be telling you the dimension. So this is the smaller one. Okay, so this one is 4 inches by 7 inches. Okay, this is 7 inches, 7 inches by 4 inches. Okay, this is 4 inches, 7 by 4. Okay, for this smaller one. This is the second one. This is 11 inches, and on fold it is 6 inches. That means it is 11 by 12. Okay, so the length is 11, the width is 12. Okay, this is the second one. Now for the third piece, the length is 19 inches. Let me shift it so you guys can see. The length is 19 inches. Unfold is 8 inches. That means it is 19 by 16. 19 by 16. 19 by 16. Okay, this is 19 by 16. This is 11 by 12, and this is 4 by 7. Okay, so let's set this aside. Let's move to the sewing. Now this is the back panel. Okay, so this is our front panel. So make sure you transfer your dart to both sides. Okay, so this is the dart. I already created a notch here, so this is the notch here on both sides. Okay, so make sure you also transfer the dart to the back. So I've transferred my dart. I don't know if you can see the truck. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine and then pick my dart this way, and then I'm going to stitch it like this, and then I'm going to stop at this point. Okay, I'll do the same thing. I'll stitch it. I'll do the same thing to this one, pick it this way, and then I'm going to stitch it and stop here. So after I finish stitching, I'm going to use the bias to hem the neckline for the front and also the neckline for the back. Remember, the back does not have that, so I'm going to also use bias to hem the neckline, okay, for the back panel. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. Now for all of this piece, what I'm going to do is, for this one, I'm going to fold it into two and stitch by half an inch downward like this. I'm going to stitch it by half all the way down for this smaller one. For the second one, I'm going to stitch in the 11 inches side, okay, like this. Let me pin it in place, guys. So I'll pin it like this. Okay, so I'm going to stitch it at this part. So I'm going to stitch it like this. Once I'm done stitching it like this, I'll open it this way like this and then stitch one side. So it's going to be opening from just one side. Okay, I'll stitch it like this. Let me explain again. Stitch it like this by half an inch, and then I'm going to open it like this and stitch it all the way. But this part is going to be open. Do you understand? For this big piece, I'm just going to stitch it half an inch on this side, and then I'll leave this part open. The upper part also is going to be open, just like the way I'm going to do this smaller one. It's just this one that will be different. So okay guys, I didn't know that my body was blocking the camera, so I had to change position. Okay, so at this point I was done hemming the neckline. I also hemmed the back neckline also. Can you see? So I've also turned the fabric and I turned them inside out. I also ironed them. See, this is one, this is the second one. So both sides are open, and this is the third one. Both sides are also open. So I opened the same to the middle and I ironed it. Okay, the same thing I did for this one, but this one I just ironed it normal. Okay, let me show you guys. I ironed it normal. Okay, so this is what I have here. Now the next thing we're going to do is to go ahead and then pipe this armhole separately. I'm going to use bias to pipe it separately for both front and back. The reason I am piping separately is because of what we're going to be placing on the shoulder. If we place the piece at the shoulder before we pipe, we're going to, by the time we are hemming it or piping it for the bias, we are going to top stitching on it, and we don't want that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is to take this to our sewing machine. We're going to pipe the armhole. We're going to pipe the armhole using the bias for the back both sides and for the front both sides. So after piping this piece, now this particular piece, we're going to sew a loose stitch here to gather it. Okay, we're going to gather it so that it can fit in at this point. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. So we are going to be placing this here. Okay, this longer one, let me show you. This is our right hand side. Okay, right hand side. So this is the right hand side. This longer one, we are going to place it here. The shorter one will be here. Okay, so we're going to sew a loose stitch here and gather it. Is either you gather it or you can just split it here. Okay, so I'll do the same thing here now. I'll sew loose stitch here, loose stitch here, and then I'll pipe the armhole. At this point I was done piping the armhole. This is for the back and for the front. And also remember this dart that we took the other time. So we're going to trim the excess dart off. Okay, like that triangle look we had the other time. Okay, so we're going to trim it off like this. Okay, so now this is, now you allow the front panel to face you. Okay, the right side should be facing you. Now this is the right, this left hand side, and this is the right hand side. Okay, so now let's mark it. This is the right hand side, so the left hand side we'll leave it unmarked. So now we're going to take this smaller piece, okay, that has the seam in the middle like this. So we're going to, you know, I've stitched loose stitches here, so I'm going to pick one of it and then just gather it like this. So I'll pick the other side and I'll also gather. So you carefully gather it so that it doesn't break. Okay, so now we'll gather it to fit into this part. Okay, so once you're done gathering, you're going to arrange it here on this shoulder. Okay, please make sure it doesn't cross the shoulder. So we're going to arrange it there like this, and then just go ahead and secure it down with our pins like this. So I'm going to secure it down like this. Okay, so this one is going to be here. Now this other one, we're going to also gather it. This is the bigger one. Pick one of the thread and then just carefully gather it. Make sure it fits in this part also, this other side. So we're going to place it like this, and then we're also going to pin it down. Okay, like I said, you can gather, you can also pleat it. That's what you want. Okay, you can pleat, you can gather. So I'm going to pin this in place also. Pin this one in place. Make sure that the gathers are spread evenly. Okay, evenly. Okay, so we're going to now put the back panel together. So you can stitch it down first. You can just stitch it down before you place your back panel on top, and then we'll join the shoulders together like this. Join the shoulders together. So you could stitch it down first. For me, I would advise you to stitch it down, stitch it in place before you stitch your shoulders. Okay, join your shoulders together. So this is it. Can you see? Neatly join. So this is what we're going to be having when you're done. Now from this shoulder, I'm going to come down by 4.5. Can you see? I'm going to mark it. Mark a line here. So now once you're done marking a line, this particular side, we are going to gather it like the way we gather this place, and then we'll gather and, you know, pleat it here. Is either we gather it or, you know, we pleat, but I'm going to gather it so that it's uniform, like the way this place is. Please make sure you place it rightly. See the way I'm placing it. So we're going to place it here on this line that I marked. So we're going to gather it and stitch it down like this. So like this. So let me just pin it in place. So once we stitch it in place, the next thing we're going to do is to take this piece. Okay, this piece. Now I'm going to put this piece like this from here, like this, and then I'm going to close it by half an inch. So once we stitch it down, we'll go ahead and turn it like this, and it's going to be covering these rough edges of what we're going to be joining here. Hope it is clear. I'm going to close the side by the allowance I added when I was cutting. So I'm going to flip it to the wrong side like this. Close both sides. If you follow the measurements, this part is meant to be equal by the time you are done. Okay, so I'm going to stitch this side and also stitch the other side. So and also hem the lower part. I'll fold half and fold one, okay, and hem it round, but I'm going to leave a opening of like 2 inches at this point. 2 inches for the opening. 2 inches for the opening. So what I'm going to do basically, let me recap. Okay, so I'll join this one, join this piece, and close the side, then end. So guys, this is what we have when I was done joining this part. I gathered it and I stitch on down 4.5 inches I marked down, and then I also stitch this one with half an inch. Okay, so you can go ahead and reduce the allowance inside. You can reduce it. I'll turn it now. I'll turn it to the wrong side like this. So now this one, you can now tuck it in inside like this. Okay, so this is going to drop on top. So now another thing you need to do is this part, this shoulder, just flip it to the right side and tack it down. You need so that it doesn't flip around because of the load here, because of what is here. Okay, just tack it on both sides. Tack it on just this one, don't tack it on this one. Okay, So now this is what we've got. Now next we are going to do is to adjust it downward. This thing, we're going to adjust this thing down to that point of let's remove this one first. So let's take this down. Can you see? Okay, so this is how it's going to look like. And what we are going to do here is we're going to tack it down so that this thing does not move around. Okay, it doesn't move. Okay, so we'll tack it down. Okay, so with your needle and thread, I'm just going to pick a little, you know, just pick like this. You can just do this like 2 or 3 times. So with this, it's not going to be, you know, moving around. So go ahead and then pick it and knot. You can do it in a way that the thread is not even showing on the other side. I mean this part, but the reason I did is because we're still going to be using this to cover it. So create a knot like 2 or 3 times and then cut off your thread. So I'm going to cut off the thread now. So one tacking is just fine. So if you like, you can still tack it down. So you can still tack it down at this part also. So what we're trying to do basically is just to make sure that this thing is in place, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing that I did here to this side. So make sure that it is not folding, okay? So I'm going to just go in from the lower part. So I'm going to do this for 2 or 3 times, okay? Have it. So now this is what we have. Now conveniently you can, you know, pass this in now and arrange it properly. So this is what we have, guys. So now we're going to pass in our elastic, and we're using 1/2 inch elastic for this one. Okay, so know the quantity of elastic you're going to be using is by this. Measure what you have like this and then add 4 inches or 5 inches to it. So this is 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So I'm adding extra 5 inches to whatever I have here. Okay, so that's 24. So I'm cutting an elastic that is measuring 24. So this is 25. I added 1/2 inch on both sides that I'm going to use to stitch it together, so making it 25. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and insert my safety pin. I don't know if you can see. So I put my safety pin in like this, and then from the lower part that I inked, I left the opening here. So this is the opening, like 2 inches opening. So from here I'm going to go ahead now and pass my elastic in. Remove your safety pin. You can go ahead now and stitch it in place. So you can stitch it in place, or you create a knot, whichever you want to do is fine. So I'm going to stitch it in place and then close this opening. So once I close the opening, I'll give it a good press and then show you guys the final look on the mannequins. So guys, this is the final look of the beautiful top. Can you see how cute it's looking? Let me come close. I'm loving it already. Can you see? So you can wear this with a blazer, wear your pants and wear your blazer with it, or a pencil skirt with this, or you can rock this with your jean. It's so cute, guys. Can you see? So you can also decide to remove this part. If you don't want to tuck it in, you can put it this way, depending on what you want. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and give it a huge thumbs up. My name is Esther, and this is Q-Est Fashion. Don't stop learning, keep learning. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.